So welcome back to the second part of the lesson. I don't know if you can see me or hear me. Are you there?
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Great. So first, before going into the content itself, we are going to play again another game. And this game is called Hangman. I don't know if you have heard about it, but it's kind of a cruel game in which you have to basically give me words in order to hang this man or to not hang this man. Do you know this game?
Yes.
Great. So I need some letters. Can you give me some letters so we
A.
can start the game? A. There's an A here. Next one.
E.
E. And there's another one here.
L.
There's no an L. I am sorry.
Oh.
So we have head. I am going to try my best. It is a little bit dented, but it doesn't matter. Next one.
N. Mm.
N.
N. Yes.
This one, right?
Yes.
And you have an N. You have actually three.
Finish.
go.
Finishes with N. Yes.
Another letter? Again, please, Marietta. I couldn't listen to you.
Um,
Which one? You have plenty of body parts to lose yet. So I don't know, Kelly, Nicolás, Gabriela, Gaspar, do you want to make a guess? Hector.
letter O.
O. Okay. We have two O's. One here. I'm sorry for my bad handwriting. And one here.
Intonation.
Let's see.
Yes.
So the missing letter was T. Congratulations. You actually did pretty well. We only have a head. Poor little man. So the word was intonation. So I don't know if you remember that we said that we were going to have an introduction to intonation. I mean, to a missing word. The missing word was intonation. So for the second part of the lesson, the agenda was, the agenda is what is intonation, the functions of intonation, and the forms of intonation. Now, we need to say that in order to speak and understand English, we need more than just grammar and vocabulary. And some native speakers convey meaning in their sentences with pitch. I don't know if you remember what pitch was. When we talk about stress, we talk about pitch. So I think you will remember. But here we have an example for you to understand this a little bit clearer. So here we have two sentences. She got a dog and she got a dog. Here in these two sentences, as we can see, for instance, we have one statement and we have one question. But the words here are the same. We have she got a dog and she got a dog. Even though the words are the same, because of the way the focus word, in this case dog, that it's like the most prominent one, is pronounced, we can have two different meanings to this sentence. For instance, in the first one, we have an intonation that goes down. Say, she got a dog, right? It's not like in the second one that we say, she got a dog. No, it was, she got a dog, like it goes up, right? And this is because in the first one, we have a complete thought. It's like, oh, she got a dog. Something that is is a statement that is I don't know if it is fixed, but it's a statement that has a complete thought. She got a dog. But in the second one, we are expressing something more than just that. In the second one, we are showing surprise. For example, like she got a dog. Like, I cannot believe she got a dog. It goes higher because we want to express a surprise. So the patterns, these ones that go up and down of our voice is what we call the pitch, and they are usually on and after the word that is the focus the focus word, and it's only at the it's usually at the end of the sentence. What do I want to say with all of this? Intonation, it is what is at the end. I mean, not only at the end, but sometimes it starts before the end and it goes after the end, and it's related to the way we pronounce the words, if they go up or if they go down. That's what intonation is about, the different patterns. And now we have some definitions to make this even more clear. And I am going to need help from some people, perhaps some people I haven't heard from today. Pia, can you read this, please? The first paragraph. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Intonation is the melody of a speech. In studying information, we study how the pitch of the voice rises and falls, and who speaker use this pitch variation, who convey linguistic and pragmatic
Yes.
meaning.
Thank you very much. So it says that intonation is a melody of speech. Do you know, like in songs, you have a melody? That's what intonation is of speech. There says, in studying intonation, we study how the pitch and the voice rises and falls, just like in the previous exercise. In the first one, it falls. In the second one, it rises. And how speakers use this to convey. The word convey is in Spanish transmitir, if I'm not mistaken. And it says that they use this to basically deliver different meanings. So now I need help from probably Hector Espinosa. Can you speak, Hector?
Yes.
Can you read the second paragraph, please?
Okay.
Thank
But can you move the
yes,
mouse, please? It also involves the study of the writing of speech, and in English at any rate, the study of how to interplay of accented, stressed and unstressed syllables function as a framework onto which the intonation patterns are attacked.
Thank you very much. So we talk about stress and unstressed syllables, accented syllables, and which the intonation patterns are attached. I know this may sound a little bit difficult for you, but trust me that once you study this more in depth, once you give you take your time to understand these concepts, you're going to understand this a lot, way much better than just by what you can get from reading these definitions that are not so easy sometimes to understand. But in other words, we can say that when we speak, speakers generally rise and lower their pitch, the pitch of their voice. And this is what forms the pitch patterns. These changes in pitch is what we call intonation. And intonation is often called the melody of speech. Since these patterns of speech changes, because the patterns of speech changes, changes the messages we want to give, or the intentions we want to transmit with these changes in the pitch. Now we are going to name 4 functions of intonation, and I know this is kind of boring, kind of dry, and it's kind of difficult to understand because it's just information you have to learn, basically almost from memory. But we need to have a look. We have to take a look of it, because without the information, or without all of these I lost the word. But without like the theory, and without all the theory behind it, we cannot apply it. We need to know the theory behind all of this in order to apply it. That's why we are going to read this. Gaspar, can you read the first paragraph, please? The one with the number 1 of functions of intonation. Are you there, Gaspar? No.
Yes,
yes?
I am here. Sorry.
Don't worry. Can you read the first paragraph, please?
Yes, no problem.
Great.
Number 1, the attitudinal function. The most obvious role of intonation is to express our attitudes and emotions, to show shock or surprise, pleasure or anger, interest or anger, interest or bother or boredom, seriousness or sarcasm, and many others. We do this by tone.
Thank you very much. So basically, now that we are covering the functions, we have the first one is the attitudinal function. It's basically, we use it in order to show feelings and emotions, like there says, to show anger or sarcasm, between many others. Now for number 2. Let me check the list of participants. Sebastián Camano.
Camaño, yes.
Camaño. I'm sorry, it doesn't have the
Don't worry.
the little thing on top of the end. I'm sorry. Sebastián Camaño, can you read number 2, please?
Okay. The grammatical function. Intonations helps identify grammatical structures in speech, rather as punctuation does in writing. We use intonation to mark the beginning and end of grammatical units such as clause and sentence. The demarcative function. We do this by tonality. We also use intonation to distinguish clause types such as question versus statement, and to disambiguate various grammatically ambiguous structures. The syntactic function. We do this mainly by tone.
Thank you very much. So we have that for the second function, the grammatical function, it is mainly to identify grammatical structures in speech. And as you could listen from what Sebastián just read, we use it to distinguish, for instance, questions from statements, like we did in the previous one. That was a statement, the first one, and the second one was a question. And basically, just like in the previous one, we do this by tone. And remember these words that we have here in bold? Tone, tonality. Just remember them for now. Now, number 3. I for some reason cannot see the list of now I can. Areli Valencia, are you there, Areli?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you read paragraph number 3, please?
Okay. The focusing, also called accentual or informational function. Intonation helps to show what information in an utterance.
Which one? Utterance? Yes. A utterance is just like a sentence.
Is new and what is already known. We use it to bring some parts of the message into focus and leave other parts out of focus to emphasize or highlight some parts and note others. We do this by tonicity and by the placement of other accents.
Thank you very much, Areli. So, as Areli just read, the accentuation, accentual function help us to distinguish between what we already know and what's something new. And it says that we use these to bring some parts of the message into focus and to leave some parts out of focus. Those that we are going to put into focus are the ones that are new information for us, and the ones we are going to leave out, and the ones that we are not going to emphasize are probably the ones we already know or something that it's not new information for us. So now we are going to, here we have the last one. We are going to listen to the last one. And Gabriela, can you read paragraph number 4, please?
Number 4?
Yes, please.
The discourse of cohesive function intonation signals how sequences of clauses and sentences go together in spoken discourse. To contrast or to cohere, I don't know how to say it.
Cohere.
Yeah. It functions like the division of written text into sentences and paragraphs. It enables us to signal whether or not we have come to the end of the point we are making, whether we want to keep talking or are ready to give another speaker a turn.
Thank you very much. So here says that discursive or cohesive function basically show us the main core of the message, and it tells us whether we are going to continue talking or if we are going to conduct the answer to the listener. In other words, it says that if we are going to, like I already said, continue talking, or if we are going to stop and we are going to let the person that is listening to our conversation the opportunity to talk. And I don't know if you remember, but now, for instance, here we have the word tonicity that is in bold, and here we have something that we call the 3 T's. And the 3 T's are those 3 words that you have there. There are tonality, tonicity, and tone, and each one of them has been mentioned in the previous functions. The first one, tonality, is the division of the continuous speech signal into meaningful chunks, tone units. Chunks, I don't know if you remember, but are like more smaller parts, like little chunks. For instance, if you have a piece of cereal and it breaks, for instance, like these cereal bars, and they break, you have little chunks. So those were our chunks, like little pieces. I also have here a note that says tonality is the division of spoken discourse into discrete units of information, each of which carries one piece of information. Tonality refers to the division of a speech into intonation, tone, or groups. Each tone group contains a single unit of information and represents the speaker's perception and management of the whole message. So tonality is the division of something. And now in the screen appear a sentence at the back, at the bottom, and I want to change the color so you can understand what I want to. So here we have tonality. Tonality says that it's about the chunks that we create, or the division. Here I am marking the tonality. Now we don't have this long sentence, we have little chunks. We have today, then we are going to talk about intonation, then we have next week, and then we'll move on to another pronunciation features. I just mark here the tonality. Now we have the tonicity. And tonicity, it is related to the notion of accentuation, or what it is going to be accented in a sentence. This one refers to the speaker's intention to highlight some words for the meaning they want to convey when they are delivering the message. And I am going to use purple in this case to mark the tonicity. And as we are just accentuating some sentences, we have, for instance, today, we are going to talk about intonation. Probably there's one next week. We will move on to other pronunciation features. In this case, I want to accentuate these words I just did. Today, we are going to talk about intonation. Next week, we'll move on to other pronunciation features. And last but not least, we have tone. Tone is the major pitch movement within the tone unit. And as you noticed in the previous slides, there were many of the functions that mention tone, that you can see this because there is a variation in tone. And for you to understand tone better, we have now the forms of intonation. And these are the tones. So we have, we can observe when we study pitch vibrations. The forms of intonation is what we can observe when we study pitch vibrations. And in general, we have mainly 3 patterns of intonation in English, and these are the tones. The first one is the falling tone, that was like this. The second one is the rising one, or tone, or intonation. And then we have one that it's a fall, but then it rises. So it's a fall rise pattern of intonation. And if you have any questions, just ask me, by the way. Here we have the first one more in detail and when we are supposed to use it. And it's the falling intonation. Now, Kelly, can you speak, Kelly? I don't think I have listened to you today.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Can you read this paragraph, please?
Okay. Falling intonation describes how the voice falls on the final stress syllable of a paragraph or a group of words. A falling intonation is very common in WH questions.
Thank you very much. So, like here says, it's very common in WH questions. So, for instance, here we have two sentences that start with a WH question. We have where and what. And in this case, the intonation of these sentences, it's a falling one. So this is going to be a falling one, and this is also going to be, I am sorry, I made a mistake. This is also going to be a falling one. So when we read this, we say, where's the nearest post office? We don't say, where's the nearest post office? It sounds weird, right? We say, where's the nearest post office? Like it says, describe how the voice falls on the final stress syllable. In this case, it's post office, so that's why it falls there. And in the second one, what time's that the film finished? The final stress syllable, finished, and it's a WH question, therefore it's a falling tone. What's the time? What time does the film finished? What time does the film finished? Here we have that we also use a falling tone when we say something definitive or when we want to be very clear about something. For instance, we have, you are completely lost. There's no other way. You are completely lost in this case. It's something that we are stating that it's like that and there's no other way. So I think we're completely lost. Perhaps, for instance, we are in the forest and we don't have a map, or we are, I don't know, like in a very big city and we don't have Google Maps or something. So in that case, we will use a falling tone because it is something we are very clear about. It is very obvious in one of those cases that we are lost. So that's why we use a falling tone. And in the second example, it says, okay, here's the magazine you wanted. But in this case, the word magazine is something that we know this person wanted, so it is a falling tone here. Okay, here's the magazine you wanted. It's not, here's the magazine you wanted, it's the magazine you wanted. It's a falling tone. We also have, for instance, like in the case of the first example, she has a dog, that, for instance, in those cases, when we have statements or comments, we are also going to use the falling intonation. Like we already said, when we have WH questions, like in the case of the ones that are there or the ones that start with Y, or any WH questions are going to have falling intonation. And when we are saying something with like very low energy, or we don't want, or our emotions are like showing that we are bored or something, in that case we are not going to pronounce something like very happy, showing much emotion. We are going to pronounce something, we are going to pronounce that with very low energy, like very yeah, I don't want to speak right now, I'm bored, or something like that. We're going to use a falling intonation. Now we have the rising intonation. And can Diego Troncoso,
Yes.
can you read here the example? Not the example, the paragraph. It's very short.
Rising intonation describes how the voice rises at the end of a sentence. Rising intonation is common in yes/no questions. I hear the health center of.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I hear the health center is expanding. So, is that the new doctor?
Thank you very much. So here, for instance, we have a yes or no question. If I see you, for example, Diego, that now that you are rating, if I ask you, is that the new doctor? What are the options you can answer me? For instance, if we were in a clinic or something. Is that or is that not the new doctor? Do you understand what I want to ask you?
Yes.
Yes. What would you answer if I ask you that question? Is that the new doctor?
Yes or no?
Yes or no, exactly. You only have two choices because, I mean, you also can say maybe, but it is a yes or no question because you are expecting a closed answer. You are not asking, I mean, it's not like you're asking like in the previous questions, like, where does he live or where does this new doctor come from? I'm just asking you if that's the new doctor. I am not asking anything else than that. So in that case, this is a yes or no question. So it's I heard that the healthcare, I mean, yes, I heard the health center is expanding. So is that the new doctor? It's like, is it or not? And for instance, then we have, so this is rising. And then we have, are you thirsty? I am asking you a question and it's a yes or no question. You only have two choices. Are you thirsty or you are not thirsty? I don't know if you all know this word thirsty, by the way, it's sediento. So for instance, right now, I didn't drink my cup of tea during the break, so I'm kind of thirsty because I've been speaking a lot. So in that case, are you thirsty? Yes, I am. Now, in the following one, we have the full rise intonation. And I'm going to ask Gabriela. Can you read for me this paragraph? Gabriela, can you speak? If you cannot, it's okay. I don't think Gabriela can speak. Kelly, I think I already asked you.
Yes, I can.
Oh, thank you very much. The one I made a very ugly arrow next to it.
First paragraph?
Yes, please.
Okay. Far rise intonation describes how the voice pause and then rise. We use far rise intonation at the end of a statement when we want to say that we are not sure or when we may have more to add.
Thank you very much. So just like you already read, we use this when we are not sure or when we want to add something else. So here, for instance, we have, I don't support any teams at the moment, but as we are not sure, we shouldn't pronounce that like just with a falling intonation, because at the moment it's telling me that maybe I can change my mind later. So I may also, I may change my mind in the future. So probably I will have something else to add. And in this case, we should pronounce this like this. The mo. So it should sound something like, I don't support any football teams at the moment. Like moment. We should make a little distinct. We should raise the tone at the end because, like there says, we may change our mind in the future. So I don't support any teams at the moment. The second example says it rained every day in the first week. But then in between brackets, we have that it changed. I mean, things improve after that. So we have a fall and then a rise. So it should sound like it rained every day in the first week. Like we are showing that things. I mean, we are showing that maybe even though it rained, things improve after that. So it rained every day in the first week. We go down and then we go up. And then for the final paragraph I think we have today, can Nicolás Duran are you there, Nicolás? Bastian,
Yes.
can you help me please with that one?
Okay. We use full rise intonation with questions, especially when we request information or invite somebody to do or to have something. The intonation pattern makes the question sound more polite. Is this your camera? Would you like another coffee?
Perfect. It is exactly what you just read. We have a full tone and then we rise at the end. And this makes like they're polite. It's like you're asking like in a very nice way, like, is that your camera? It's like you're showing interest. Or would you like another coffee? Is these are questions just like the previous ones, but in this case we are requesting information. We are not asking for yes or no questions. I mean, not only for yes or no questions, because these are also yes or no questions. Is that your camera? Yes or no? But here the difference is that we request or invite someone to do something, and we do this when we want to sound more polite. So again, is that your camera? Or would you like another coffee? You try to sound friendly or to sound nice. I mean, friendly or yes, kind of nice towards other people. Now we have this image that says sentence structure, intonation pattern, and examples. And for instance, like we already said, WH questions are going to have a full intonation pattern. And as an example, we have, where's the house? Who built the bungalow? How did we get there? They are all they all start with W questions, even though how it doesn't start with a W question, it is considered as a WH question, and it's pronounced just like with the same intonation pattern as the rest of them. Then we have that for yes or no questions. We are going to use the rise intonation. Can we leave now? Is she ready? You are asking while you are also using the high, I mean, not the high, you are raising your tone at the end of the sentence. Then we have that first statement. We have the salon is just a block away. You can walk from there. It's a statement, plain one. The salon is a block away. You can walk there. You're not in that case, you're not saying nothing with too much surprise, because you know how, I mean, you know the distance between where you are and the salon, and you know that you can walk there. So there's not an element, for instance, of surprise like in the previous ones. So the salon is just a block away. You can walk there, just that. And also for imperatives or commands, we have a full intonation pattern, like please sit down, wash it, open the door, close the door, or close the window, whatever. We have that for imperatives. We also use an intonation the intonation pattern that is the full one. This what time is it? Yeah, it's almost time. These are like general rules that for the WH questions we are going to use the full one. For yes or no question, the rise one, statement full, imperatives full, and for like the previous examples, when we want to sound more polite and when we are requesting information, we are going to use a full rise. And that was basically it for the moment. I am pretty sure you are going to continue working on this with Professor Bruno, because intonation is actually something you are going to see a lot during this semester, and it's also already mentioned something very important for you, because people convey meaning. People transmit their intentions using the difference in pitch in order to deliver a message. So it is important, like with everything we have covered today, it is important to pronounce this, and it's also good for you to know this, because if you do, your English is going to sound more natural and more fluid. And yeah, it's basically the end of the lesson. If you have any questions, you can ask them now. I am also going to look at the chat if we have a question in the chat. We don't have anything new. Do you have any questions? I know this was a lot of information for you to remember, but I like I already said, trust me that once we practice this in more detail and we listen to native speakers or even the other teachers speaking, you are going to notice when they are using the different tones and the different patterns of intonation. You are going to understand why they are using it. But I insist, once we practice this more, you are going to understand this way much better. So if we don't have any further questions, I think it's time for this session to end, because it's 10:30. Teacher Bruno, Professor Bruno, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for the lesson. Both lessons, actually, I think were very clear. Plenty of exercises. And I just wanted to add that in general, we focus too much on learning segmental features of the English language, that is, to learn how to pronounce vowel sounds and consonant sounds. But features such as the connected speech or intonation that we give whenever we speak to people. In general, native speakers will allow mistakes for vowel sound, consonant sounds, but in general, native speakers are not aware of the errors in terms of intonation. Therefore, whenever the intention of the speaker goes in one direction, you need to use the right intonation pattern. Otherwise, there's a high probability of being misunderstood. So we're going to continue exploring, as Ms. Javiera mentioned, intonation, not only from a theoretical point of view, but also with more practical exercises, just like she did. So I'll see you all next session.
On Thursday.
Exactly.
Thursday.
Exactly. You'll have a good one. You'll have a good day. Goodbye, everyone.
You too.
Goodbye.
Bye,
See you.
Professor. See you
Bye-bye.
next
Have a
time.
nice
Have a nice
day.
day.
Bye-bye.
See you on Thursday.